So I honestly don't know if NFP was a holdup at any point. I've actually never asked him if that was, but by the time we started dating, he was like fully on board. It wasn't really even a conversation in which I had to convince him. He was like, okay, yes, we're going to be doing NFP. But I think what he saw is when he converted to Catholicism, what he had been told his whole life were restrictive and rules and things to try to like hold you back, because that's how a lot of people view the Catholic Church and all the hard rules.
Welcome to Cycles and Sanctity, the podcast where Catholic women learn to think clearly, feel deeply, and live confidently in the truth of who God created them to be. I'm Mama Jane.
And I'm Mama Vicky, your Catholic womanhood coaches. We believe womanhood is a gift to be embraced, never managed or met with shame. Our cycles are God's design, a tool for self-knowledge, deeper prayer, and holiness.
We help women heal mentally, emotionally, and spiritually so they can live with clarity, peace, and confidence.
If you're ready to trust your body, understand your interior life, and walk more freely with God, you're in the right place. Hey, Mama Jane, welcome back, Catholic Divas. We have an exciting episode for you today. We're titled this one, Can We Really Trust God with Our Family Planning? And who do we have but our guest, Veronica. I want to say Lipinski, but that is not her last name anymore. She is newly married, and we have her on the podcast today to talk about how she uses NFP and just how their early marriage and the honeymoon season and all kinds of things she wants to share with us. And hey, Mama Jane.
Hey, Mama Vicky, I'm so excited as well. When you invited Veronica, you're like, I have the perfect person for this podcast. And then you told me that she's one of 10, which is amazing. And
she's like my best. She's number 5.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Awesome. And you're also a nurse, a labor and delivery nurse. So I want to thank you very much for that service, because, we need good and holy nurses to serve our women and to help them trust their body. So that's amazing. And tell me just real quickly, what is your husband's name?
Parker.
Okay. I want to know all the deets. So yes. Mama Vicky's going to start. She's going to keep us on track.
I'm going to try. Well, Veronica, what do you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Well, I'm Veronica, and I obviously thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited. I love to talk about NFP and women's cycles. I'm always on a soapbox. My friends always tease me because they're like, oh, she's going again, talking about birth control and NFP. Can't get her to stop. I'm over here like but yes, I'm one of 10. Like Vicky said, I'm number 5. So when people tell me they have middle child syndrome, I ask them to kindly sit down. And I moved to Kansas City, and I'm a labor and delivery nurse now. I love what I do. I love helping bring life into the world and supporting women, and either the best day of their lives, some of them, unfortunately, a hard day of their life. And I met my husband in college. We were friends for 5 years. We were just very good friends. There was never anything romantic. And about 2 years ago now, we went to breakfast, and he asked me on a date, and I was shocked. I was like, me? You? What?
What'd you tell him?
I said Slay King.
Slay King, that's right.
I joke now for everybody. Yeah. I was so caught off guard, and I didn't know what to say. So Slay King came out. I did apologize right away and say, I'm so sorry. That was not the right thing. But he still took me on the date, and we had a great time. And the rest is history. Started dating, and we're engaged within 9 months of dating, and then married a year later. And we've been married now for 2 months. So obviously I'm the expert of marriage. But and it's been great. We are happy and in love.
Of course.
Well, to begin with, what led you and Parker to choose natural family planning? I mean, just from being at work with you manage a lot of flack. I mean, this is an unpopular stance in today's society, and Veronica has broad shoulders and strong faith.
Yeah. Yes, the flack thing is very real. But my mom taught NFP. You know, we tease her because she has 10 kids. So we're always like, oh, are you really the poster child for NFP? But, you know, that's part of NFP is like just the openness to life and being open to children. My parents lived that well. But she always, from right when I started having my periods, like, track your cycle, know your body, and was always very open with us. She always talked to us. It was never sex was never a taboo topic in our home. You know, we were very much taught from a young age, like it's a beautiful thing between a man and a wife, you know. And so in her encouragement and everything she taught, it almost was like a no-brainer to me. Like I never really thought I would be doing anything else. As I got older and I started nursing school, and I had a lot of friends who were not Catholic on birth control, just learning about birth control, the side effects, what it does to your body, I very much was like, I'm not interested. No, thank you. Yeah, so then Parker and I started dating and started preparing for marriage. He is a Catholic convert. So he takes his faith very seriously as it's something he chose for himself, which is very helpful. So yeah, it just kind of it made sense for us.
Mm-hmm. And just out of curiosity, so I'm presuming kind of like you went through a diocesan program, but did your mom actually teach you guys, or was that a little bit too intimate?
My mom does a different method than we do. So I use the Marquette method, and we took a class at I don't know if company is the right word. The program we went through is called the Whole Mission. So it's online, and we met individually with an NFP coach, and we had a class, and we worked through she explained the method, and then we started practicing like 6 months before we got married. So we had months of charting leading in to marriage,
Yeah.
so we knew where we were at.
That's beautiful. How has your marriage communication like because of NFP? Like this is one of the things as a I teach Billings. As a Billings instructor, I'm always telling people, like, if you could talk about mucus with your spouse, you could talk about finances and kids and whatever else, like you're getting down to the nitty-gritty, guys. But share with us, did it change? Because you guys already had, like, you already had a friendship, like you said, like, I never even thought of him as a boyfriend, and all of a sudden this relationship. But how did it change the conversations and the communication as you're practicing NFP?
Yeah, so when we took our class, we had a conversation of like, I basically said, I don't want this to be all on me. Like, I don't want this to be
That's
responsible.
important.
And he was obviously 100% down and agreed. So we kind of like developed roles of like, okay, how are you going to help me in this? With the Marquette method, I like pee in a cup every day, not every day, but like certain parts of my cycle and test. So I tell him what I test and he charts it. Like that's his responsibility, is to chart it. But then he also knows where I'm at in my cycle throughout the entirety of the cycle, which is just, I say all the time to people when I'm talking about NFP, it's so helpful for him to know my cycle because it helps him love me better in every part of where I'm at. Because when you're in your luteal phase, you a little more grumpy, maybe a little more short tempered. So he knows, like, okay, how do I love her best in this? So it's very helpful.
That's really, really beautiful. Yeah, when I teach the couples, I'm always telling the man, because the men are our guardians and our protectors, is that I say, you guys are the rule providers. Like, you guys decide at the beginning of the month, beginning of the cycle, like, we're open to life or we're not open to life. And then you follow those, you decide, like, there's certain rules, like, are we going to abstain because we want to, postpone pregnancy, or do we want to come together because we want to achieve pregnancy? And I'm always telling the man, like, you got to protect her from herself, because when women are ovulating, that's when we get frisky, like, that's all of a sudden, like, we're amorous and
12 babies are fine. Let's do it.
That's right. Exactly.
Good idea right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, you gotta save her from herself, But of course, most men, because they're not taught this, they're
Mhm.
like, hey, baby, let's do it. Like, wow, she's actually excited about this. So, yeah, that's beautiful. I love what you said, that he is learning to love me
Mhm.
in a way according to my cycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because so
Yeah.
many men, it's a mystery. They've got no idea. They don't even try. Like this is just such a closed off. That what I love about NFP and the Catholic faith, people think it's so restrictive. They're like, oh my gosh, you can't just do what you want when you want. Well, A, you can.
Yeah.
B, um, it's just such a foreign. They see it so restrictive, and it's really so much more open. I mean, he
Mhm.
can love you better, and then you can kind of trust him, build your trust in him to protect you, and
Right.
put what's best for you guys as you've decided as a couple. I mean, I think the communication is amazing. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, because my next question is, how has what's one of the more challenging aspects of NFP, especially like in such a new, I mean, you just got married and you guys
Yes.
waited until marriage.
Yes. Correct. Yeah, I would say some of the more challenging parts. One, like Mama Jane was just saying, you are more like frisky when you are, and we're trying to avoid pregnancy at this point. And so it's like it's hard to be like when I really want to saying no.
Mhm. Mhm.
But then again, when I say like opportunities to love, it's like, okay, how can we show affection outside of the sexual act? And so communicating that is also very helpful and working on that communication. I would say probably the biggest challenge is outside voices. There's so many people. If I had just gotten married and said I was on birth control, no one would blink an eye.
Oh, for
When
sure.
I'm doing NFP, the heads turn. And it's like, why do you care so much?
Well, then
It's
they
like,
challenge. I mean, just because I was there and I watched it, and I'm just so proud of you because you handled it gracefully. That's the other thing, to handle it gracefully and not be. I mean, you're like, hey, I'm not telling you to do this. You do you. But everyone was like, you're coming back pregnant on your honeymoon. There's no way. I mean, bets were out,
oh, and,
and
and people are open. There's a whole betting field of when I'm getting pregnant. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
that's really none of your business.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that isn't it really interesting, like the messages that we receive about sex, about women's bodies, about our
mhm,
fertility, about
mhm.
children. I mean, like all of these mixed messages. And we have this dear friend, Jen de la Crosse, who has seven. And when she had more than three, which is kind of like, for whatever, the three is the your tipping point, right? And she used to say, like, what do you care? You're not raising them. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
asking you to help provide for them.
Right.
you know?
No, my mom experienced the same thing. We grew up in the Northeast too. So of
Oh
course
yeah,
anything
that's right.
past two was like, oh. And
Yes.
but it's funny because my mom used to get flack from a lot of people who were from big families. And
Yes.
oh, did you hate your experience? Oh no, we love it. We love when the family gets together. It's so fun. She's like, okay, so I'm giving my kids the same experience and you're telling me it's bad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, it's this whole contraceptive mentality that has seeped into our culture, our society,
Yeah.
and even Catholics get it. And it's like, whoa, stop the train, people.
Well,
It just,
You know, two things I want to say way back in my first life, and I remember being in Miami, and we went to a Catholic church nearest us, and here I come in with my five, six kids, and the conversation in the pew between the other ladies was what birth control they were on, and I was like, wrong church. I
yeah.
don't care. I don't care that it's 4 feet from our house. We're finding another church. And then we were blessed with, I mean, it was 45 minutes away, the parish we found, but it was so family oriented, and just that was like one of my best parish experiences ever. So, I mean, and I'm not putting any blame, but you just, it is hard. Even within our faith, we have people that don't trust the method.
Well, and I think a lot of it comes down to people don't really know their bodies. They don't know that there really is only a small window in time in which you can get pregnant. And it's amazing. We're labor and delivery nurses. Like we
Mhm.
work with women's reproductive health. And the amount of people who don't realize, like, they're like, oh, you're having sex, you're getting pregnant. You're not on birth control, that's immediate pregnancy. It's like,
Yeah.
uh,
yes.
science tells us.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so funny. When I was becoming a Billings ovulation method instructor, my middle son was a senior in high school. And And he was like, no, mom, no, no. If you have sex with a woman, she's going to get pregnant. I'm like, dude, look at this chart. There is only
Hmm.
so many days of cycle. Like, who's telling you this? And he's like, no, my biology teacher told me that, like, if we, and I'm like, okay, they told you that because you're seniors in high school and they don't want you to be doing the deed, right? And you don't want to be like, you're not married yet, like that's very reasonable. But part of it is like this fear of pregnancy.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Hmm.
why are we so afraid to get pregnant?
Well,
Mm.
then this is rewinding back to are we having sex in the bonds of marriage? Like
Yes,
so many
Right.
people are not.
yes,
And two things I want to touch on. One, just the gift of that. The friend we were talking about, Jen Delacrosse. I mean, she waited till marriage, and she was 33 years old when she got married. And I just used to be just in total awe. And then she'd be like, "You're an idiot. This isn't. I mean, it's just following our faith, Vicky. I'm not like out here being a Joan of Arc. Calm yourself." And the other thing I just wanted to circle back to find other ways, like during the ovulatory phase, if you're not ready you want to avoid pregnancy, other ways to love, because Mama Jane and I have been married for a hot minute now, and there's many things besides avoiding pregnancy that you might have to abstain from deployment if you're military, to business trips, to just health,
health.
as you know from watching your parents' journey. I mean, and it just is so interesting to me that the young people that are in the getting pregnant, childbearing age, they're like, oh my gosh, like we how could we be restricted from this? This is terrible, when many things restrict, prevent it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. When sometimes I joke when I start off the class and I go into the abstinence, I'm like, guess what? You're abstaining right now. You're not having sex in this class, so you
That's
can
hilarious.
abstain. And they're like looking at me like, like, duh. But
It's,
Well,
it's not like you have to separate two animals,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. But it's yeah,
my generation.
it's so beautiful. Yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just, yeah, my generation, the idea of abstinence is insane. People are
Yeah.
like, abstaining? It's like, oh, yeah, God forbid we use self control.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's that. I know when we did marriage prep, my husband would always say, listen, he talked to the husband like, listen, you're not a dog, you're a
Hmm.
man and you have free will and you also control yourself. So
Yeah.
you make the decision. We're not telling you that you can't have sex.
Hmm.
We're telling you to use the wisdom that God has given you, the gift of prudence, the
Right.
holy virtue of prudence, of deciding, is this a good time for us to have a child?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
And
because
that is so unique with each and every couple.
mhm.
Right.
And that it goes with back to God, how much, what is God calling us at this moment?
Right. Yeah.
Because even, I mean, it doesn't have to, that's another thing, when people will be open to judgment. Like if you're like, well, first of all, it's nobody's business whether you're abstaining, or whether you're trying to achieve or avoid. Like, I mean, you don't ask hey, so you guys getting pregnant this month? I mean, that's not the average question, unless you tell them we use NFP. I use natural family planning. Then they panic, and it's just so interesting when
Mhm.
so many, like, it's not any one couple's journey to have opinions on another couple's choice of where they're at in their relationship. I mean, we don't know people's health, people's financial status, people, just, there's a lot that goes into it. And again, communication is the bottom line to make it through a good marriage. Like, if you don't have good communication and at least the skills to say, I'm really not agreeing with you right now, so I'm gonna have to take a fat time out and walk around the block or something. Like, we got to put this on the table before, so many couples don't have that skill, and then they end up in this crazy, and all it is massive miscommunication. And
Mhm.
natural family planning from the get-go, you have to communicate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And the other beautiful thing I always say about natural family planning is that while at the beginning of the month you both are looking at each other and saying, no, this isn't the right time, as the cycle progresses, there may, like, you're like, what, actually that thing that we thought was a big huge obstacle, actually we could actually overcome it. like,
Mhm.
oh, I've got all these student loans. It's like, but I'm already paying the student loans. Like, so there's difference, and you can make that decision within that same month.
Mhm.
Whereas
Mhm.
if someone's on contraception, they've got to go off the pill, they got to detox their
Yeah.
body and all that, like instantaneous, like, do I turn left or do I turn right? Like
Mhm.
one day I'm going to turn left and the next day I'm going to turn right. And it's okay. You get to decide, your couple, it's your marriage, which is so beautiful.
Which also kind of goes back to what Vicky was saying, how people think it's so restrictive when really there's so much more freedom in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Veronica, the other thing, maybe you can help me touch on this because, we work in a very medical world where
Mhm.
unfortunately, doctors have to take care of like the entire population. So unfortunately, like in their scientific based mind, like the model is to like put everybody on contraception and then
Mhm.
decide from there. Which so like even going in, kind of like talking to the other night on our podcast with
Maria.
Maria that like you're going to the store to find a product they don't sell. Like
Mhm.
so often, if you go to, I mean, I know you were told because I certainly was. They're like, okay, we hit moms up like 4 minutes after they have a baby, and they're like, so, what birth control are you going on? And I'm like, dude, this kid's 5 minutes old, like 5 minutes, like the placenta's not delivered. Everybody calm down.
Not even out yet. And they're like,
Yeah,
what's and you're like, half the baby. Let's start there.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh, but it's tough when and then they always tell if you're like, hey, I'm doing that fun playing. They're like, oh, see you next year, and you're like, you might. I used to answer that
Yeah.
all the time, like you probably will. Sweet, same time, same channel, 14 months.
I'm still your client. You're
That's
going to be guaranteed to, you're going to still be in business.
but
That's,
Yeah.
anyway, I just find it
Thank
interesting that women are kind of up against like it's not often that you can find it. It's hard to find an OB provider out there, but it's not because the OBs are being like they think they're being helpful, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
you. Yeah. And I think the idea behind birth control is that it's such a quick fix to things. And
Hmm.
so like, you go in with any sort of issue, and the first thing they're going to do is tell you to get on birth control because it will regulate your cycle.
Which is so frustrating.
Right, right. And I think it just shows there's a lack of education
Hmm.
in just our medical world and in women's health. And it's
Hmm.
why don't we, there is no desire to find the root of the issue. So
Right.
I think that speaks volumes where we're at.
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. It's really not health care.
Mhm.
It's, which is such a shame, because really a woman that is empowered, what I have seen is when a woman knows her body, when a woman can trust her body, like Dr. Lynn Billings, who was, her husband and her developed the Billings ovulation method. She used to say, if when a woman I can identify a peak,
Mhm.
nobody can convince her otherwise. And that's such self-confidence. Like, no, I know my body, that I know when peak is. Don't
Mhm.
tell me, that there's no peak, because
Mhm.
I know. And same thing, like, you've seen it as labor and delivery nurses. Like when a woman is familiar with her body and can labor well
Hmm.
because
Mhm.
she's in tune with her body, like how much more beautiful that birth is, right? And that's really what our purpose is with this whole podcast, is we want to give women this hope that their bodies are good, they're created in goodness from
Mhm.
God. Like God has a plan for your body, and there's a purpose for every part of your body.
Mhm.
And so I kind of want to ask you the question, since we did title this, like, can we really trust God with our family planning? Now, your husband is a convert. I'd love to hear, did he have any like issues? Like NFP is typically one of those convert hurdles that, and depending where they're coming from. Did he have a hurdle in trusting God with this methodology, or did he just take your confidence because you're like, no, this is what we're doing, this is where I came from, and my mom's an instructor, and like I have all this evidence?
Yeah. Um, we were not dating when he converted, so I honestly don't know if NFP was a holdup at any point. I've actually never asked him if that was, but by the time we started dating, he was like fully on board. It wasn't really even a conversation in which I had to convince him. He was like, okay, yes, we're going to be doing NFP. But I think what he saw is when he converted to Catholicism, what he had been told his whole life were restrictive and rules and things to try to like hold you back, because that's how a lot of people view the Catholic Church and all the hard rules. Um, he was like, everything else is offering me freedom. So why would this be the only exception?
Oh,
Love
that's a
that.
good. Oh, say that again. Everything else is offering for me freedom. So why would this be the exception? Catholic Divas, I really want you to like stop this
Mhm.
podcast and go back 15 seconds and listen to that sentence again. In the Catholic Church, everything is offered to you as freedom. So why would NFP be an exception? So beautiful. Oh,
I know.
tell your husband I love him.
I know, right? I was just thinking, I was like, man, we're gonna have to revisit and have you and Parker on. Because
Oh yeah.
our dads don't, the men out there don't, we do have some men that listen to this and they just, I mean, this is just a tough world to be in. And Veronica, what would you tell a young Catholic woman? Like, how did you stay the course? I mean, I know like you remind me of our friend Jen, because you just have a very steadfast faith and it's beautiful. I mean, and I'm not saying you don't struggle, because obviously you do, you're human, but what words of encouragement would you give other young women?
First, give yourself grace. It's not easy. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I was perfect and didn't struggle and didn't doubt and didn't question. So give yourself a lot of grace. You're human, and ultimately there are going to be times when you mess up, but um, as much as you can offer yourself grace, God offers even more. And all he wants is you to get back up on the path and keep chasing after him. That you get more grace in falling and getting back up than just being perfect.
Amen.
Girl, I love that. I'm going to say this, divas that are listening. Mama Jane started this podcast by her own self, and I wanted to get on board because of one of her very early podcasts. I'm going to get all, oh my God, I'm too tired. I'm probably going to cry. But she that was the real point that drove it home, because she said, this is not a condemnation. Like, God, Jesus did not come to condemn. He came to save. And so we think there's this line where we got to be perfect, and that's never been the case, because we all know we can't be. There
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
one perfect man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just beautiful to hear that. That's awesome advice, Veronica. Just, hey, give yourself grace, and we're gonna fall. I mean, you're gonna have a disagreement in your marriage. And that's the other thing I feel like marriage and I mean, if you are not abstaining, you are somewhat open to life, because
Hmm.
that's just how it works. So to have that communication, between like to not have a fault. I mean, NFP, if you're not both on board, if I love that you and Parker were like, hey, this is a joint effort, so where's your responsibility? Because if it can't lie on one or the other.
Right. Right.
And
And then
that's
that's
unfortunately what contraception does,
Yeah.
really, because,
yeah.
woman takes a pill and 80% of the time it works, but 20% of the time it doesn't. And, that's another thing I challenge. I'm like, do your own research, like ask all of your abuelita, like I live in El Paso. So like, ask your cousins, ask your tias who was on contraception and how many kids did they actually have,
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, and
Yeah.
this is, and then there's the blame game, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Whereas this again, it
It's
joins
unitive.
forces. It's
Yeah.
unitive, and it's unitive in free will.
Hmm.
That's the thing. When where two or more are together in my name, there I am.
Right.
And that's the power.
Hmm.
And we
Yeah.
get to grow. We get to, we get to grow in our understanding. And yeah, I mean, like you said, like yeah, this is my ovulatory phase, and we don't really want to have a baby at this moment, so we got to do some other things, but we got to keep it holy. And that's
Right.
the other part, right? Because our men unfortunately weren't taught, and so they weren't taught how to self-control. And
Hmm.
then
Well,
there's
neither
this
were
passive aggressive,
women.
yeah, and women weren't either. And there's this passive aggressive attitude, like, oh, you always say no to me. And then you're like, well, okay, then I'll say yes. But the chances of us getting pregnant, and he's like, I don't really care. And then when you do get pregnant, he does care. I
That's
mean,
a whole other conversation and podcast. Yeah, that's don't do that, Divas. Don't go down
that's
that road.
that's right. Don't do that. But yeah, so I want to just ask you, like, if there's a young woman, like you've said, and both of you witnessed, like Vicky was like, oh yeah, go girl, go. Like
Mhm.
what kind of encouragement if a young woman, possibly Catholic, who's never maybe even heard this, that is surrounded by co-workers or family members, or what kind of words of encouragement would you say to someone to just look like under the hood, under the blanket of NFP?
Yeah, I would just say it's worth it.
Mm,
Takes a lot of trust, which is not easy. Even when you are trying to avoid and you're following all the rules, there is still an openness to life, which I think is a really beautiful thing. Um, it helps you grow in intimacy further than like sexually with your husband. It's only brought us closer together. I mean, even if it's challenging at times, at the end of the day, it's only made us closer and stronger as a unit. Um, yeah. I think too, people think that because there's abstinent periods that you're like being restrained in your marriage, but like I think anyone who's been married, Catholic or not, there are points where you don't have sex all the time. So when there are periods of abstinence, I feel like it makes when you can outside of the period, the fertile window, you take advantage of that time. So I don't think you're having sex any less than the average person.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
You
a
know, that
whole.
really becomes obvious when you chart.
Yes.
I just challenge anybody that's even thinking about this, like, oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. I could never, but just humor me and just try a chart because you mark when you're intimate. And so then you can look back and see like the proof is on the chart. It's on the calendar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, another episode I do want to explore, because I've had conversations lately with young people, young married couples or just married couples, and the thought is we're not normal because we're not having enough sex. I'm like,
Mm,
really? That's a really interesting, but again, it's what does society show us,
right.
on these movies, or the song, like the attitude is like we should be having sex every single day.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
no,
And
And
no,
maybe there are periods of your marriage that is the case, but
yeah.
also it's not always. And that I keep thinking about when you said, well, you're abstaining right now,
Yeah.
cracking me up.
yeah, well, thank you so much.
Anyway, yeah,
This
this has
was
been
such
awesome.
a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Catholic Divas, I really hope you open your heart. If you haven't looked into NFP, again, I'm a Billings ovulation method instructor, and one of the things I also talk to women about is start charting before you even get into the pre-Cana aspect, because not only is it good for charting for being able to build your family, but it's also a very good indicator to help you with your health.
Hmm.
It is such a good indicator to understand, because ovulation is the main event of the cycle. And if you're not ovulating, then there are other things that are serious wrong with your body. And now the medical community is starting to agree, and they can see that a woman who doesn't ovulate consistently in her 20s and 30s, there's ramifications in her 50s of osteoporosis, higher heart disease, like all of these things. So reach out, we've got a link in the show notes to schedule an appointment. It's just a free call, just have a conversation of what are your fears, what are your desires, what do you hope for, and see if I can help you. I'd love to help you, not just as a mindset coach, but as a Billings ovulation method instructor as well. The two go hand in hand. That really does. It's what our thoughts and our emotions, right? And then we get to express it with our bodies.
And I just have
And
to tie in one more thing. I mean, that's the thing. Natural family planning really does teach you how to trust your body. And we a woman, there's so many jokes out there that, oh, you're on your period, like, women and their hormones and how we act. But it's also true. Like how our hormones work, like it does affect us. So to have your husband understand, like you're saying, like in the luteal phase, maybe I'm like snappy. It's not personal. We can like dissolve, we can not take that so personally. I mean, and the
mhm,
same goes like obviously when I'm not saying that's a carte blanche card to just act as you want, and just blame it on the hormones, not that either, but it does open the door for communication, and then you could have more graces for your husband when he forgets whatever you asked him to get on the way home.
right. Knowledge is power, and it never hurts to know your body.
Yeah.
That's what I say to people all the time. Know your body.
And then it gives you confidence to birth, and it gives you confidence to breastfeed,
Hmm.
which, breastfeeding is also one of those things that you do one breastfeed one kid for a year, then you have a lot of benefits postmenopausal, which is
Yes,
crazy because clearly, I mean, you're aware that there's menopause, but you're probably not first and foremost on your mind at this point, Veronica.
Yeah, about it much.
that's right. That's right. Awesome.
Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much
Yes.
for your time, and I hope this leads to just hey, just take a look. I
Hmm.
mean, grandma's, aunties, cousins, NFP. You can start at any time. That's the last thing, and then I'll hush. But it's if you haven't been doing it, even wherever you are in your life, in your cycle, you can start charting.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, thank you so much. You're such a witness to life. You're such a witness to God's goodness.
Mhm.
And isn't that what marriage is all about? Our marriages are the witness to God's faithfulness and God's love and mercy. So continue with Parker. We want to bless you. And
Mhm.
I know when you decide that it's the time to bring a new life. Kimberly Hahn says, we call it making love because 9 months later we named that love, which is
Mm.
so beautiful. I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. Anyway, um, so okay, well, we're gonna close because we could talk on and on
Yeah.
because we love this subject.
Yeah.
But we're gonna
Yeah.
close with our prayer, our healing prayer from St. Paul to the Thessalonians. So, name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit. May the God of peace himself make you perfectly holy, and may you entirely, spirit, soul, and body, be preserved blameless for the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will accomplish it. Amen.
Amen.
In the
Father,
Father, and the
Son,
Son, and the
Holy
Holy
Spirit.
Spirit.
Thank you, Veronica. This is
Thanks.
fantastic. We'll
Yes.
reach out again to have you and Parker on. Got all sorts of ideas. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks so much. I had fun.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And Catholic Divas, just stick with us. We are going to be continuing this conversation about NFP. And if you have any questions about NFP or any obstacles, we would love for you to share those with us that we could, have a conversation about it. So just reach out to us either on your favorite podcast platform. You can write a review. You could reach out to us on our website. You can reach out to us on social media, all the things. We want to serve you in any way that we can to make you healthy and holy. God bless you.
Bye.
Divas, before you go, don't forget to register for our free workshop on July 27th. Can I really trust my body? It's going to answer a lot of those questions. We look forward to seeing you there.